Lynx recruitment materials. About Lynx. Lynx is the solar system's largest and most successful business. Okay.
Good morning, Cutter 9346-52. Lynx would like to share the following inspirational message.
Looking good, Cutter. Now go ahead and pick another ship.
I guess no inspirational message for me. Alright, let's do what Weaver says. View ship catalog. Hazard level 2. The Leviathan is a station hopper. Not interested in that. Tiber transplanetary. Lynx. They're all station hoppers. I'll take the Leviathan. What is that? Leviathan VI.
Alright.
Hi. Hold up a second there, Cutter.
Okay.
Because you've increased your rank, we're going to give you the next greatest ship. Now this one will be full of machinery, electronics, furniture, all stuff that Lynx can collect and resell. You're going to want to toss those items on the barge. That's the big green thing below you. Go ahead and have a look. Toss any valuable objects or components down there. And don't worry about breaking anything. There's a dampening field that'll catch everything. It works great. Most of the time. Let's give it a go.
Just give me a second there, Weaver, because I don't think I've actually looked at the model of the Earth here before. What am I looking at? Oh, so that's North America there, which would make this South America. That is a bleak-looking Amazon. Is that a sea just in the middle of the continent? Or, I guess a giant lake? It's subtly different. It's recognizable. Like, I guess, is Florida gone? Yeah, that's Florida, I guess. That little... I'm just thinking of the Bugs Bunny gif of him sighing off Florida. It's too far away to really see Newfoundland. That's where I'm from over there. Great Lakes still look fine, I think. I don't know. Alright. Enough of that. Ooh, I drifted kind of far. Airlock on the left. Yeah. Alright, so this is more like it. Huh. Don't know what that is. I saw them when I was playing there yesterday. Like, these little nuts and bolts, they've always sort of been there, but... Okay, so no way into the walls. I'm just gonna start taking the floor out.
The coastlines on the Earth down there are like super depressing, right? I saw a map there a few days ago, I think on Reddit, of the Vancouver area, redrawn as if sea levels had risen to their highest possible extent, I think. It's always kind of wild to see things in that light, I guess, or just like imagine where everything seems like it's headed. Actually, the first 2 episodes of Foundation came out last week too. Did anyone watch that? That was like a little detail that I had missed about Gale's home planet, that the sea level had risen. And apparently, I guess that's one of the reasons it became like a theocracy or whatever was going on there. I'm pretty suspicious, honestly, of like the religious Luddites angle, but I guess I'll withhold judgment until I see where that all ends up. I guess that's true for the whole show. I guess it just makes me think about how like massive climate change looms in our like awareness as a culture and in pop culture even. And I realize that's not exactly a new observation. I guess it's just kind of weird to think about the historical context that Asimov was writing in and the way that the world looked to him in his day. And now we've got this TV adaptation where, you know, the world is different. Our anxieties are different. And it's also true of Shipbreaker, right? Of the Amazon being brown and Florida being gone. It's just got me thinking about the climate pessimism, I guess, that makes its way into movies and TVs and games and all that. Not to say that there aren't reasons to be pessimistic, right?
I'm not sure if this is worth the energy, to be honest. So if it's, I think probably on other ships I would not bother so much. Oh, and I might as well get that door out there.
Valuable object.
Okay.
Credits deposited.
Station hopper with
Salvage
just
deposit
2
accepted. Credits
chairs.
transferred.
Interesting. Okay. Oops. Oh, that reminds me, that's another thing I used to do, is I used to cut the top and bottom off and just kind of stand above and push it through.
Nice work. Got that pretty quickly. Now let me teach you about the kiosk. Once the training wheels come off, Link's regulations mean you gotta cover your own oxygen and fuel costs.
Of course they
That's
do.
the way things go. Turning it on now. Now no need to panic, they'll last you a good while. But if you end up running out, you gotta go top up at the kiosk over there. Let's have a look.
It's kind of out of my way, Weaver.
Welcome to Vendidron 9000.
Huh.
Good stuff, Carter. Pretty easy, right? Alright, I'll leave you to it. We'll chat again when you hit the next rank. Weaver out.
Good to know. Oh, so these can go on the barge.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited. Salvage secured.
Why am I going all the
No
way over
credit
here to the
applied.
airlock when the bottom of the ship is out? See? Alright. So like I said, I want that sticker. What is it, like several hundred bottles and basically just trash. Which is kind of a nice little thing to do, because otherwise these are just not worth bothering with. You just kind of, I always just used to leave them in the bay. Like, okay, I'll forfeit a bottle of Sprite to Lynx. That's not a problem to me. hard work being up here in space, you know. I didn't really examine the exterior of the ship, did I? I know it's links. Got some more rust again, which again makes me wonder, where are these ships going? What are they doing? That they're getting rusty. Destroyed lights. I don't know if I'm gonna cry about that. This saves a lot more time when you've got a better stinger, but...
I see some potential fire hazards in there, so watch out, Cutter. Be careful not to cut or bump oxygen tanks, fuel tanks, or fuel lines. If there are flammable objects nearby, those flames can spread pretty quick like.
Got it. Yeah, before these little airlock pieces were in, my move was always to cut everything off except for the airlock, then sit in the middle of it and just split saw around it. It was, I don't know, not that efficient, I guess, time-wise, but it was elegant. And that, I think, is sort of how I play this game. I'm not going for speed necessarily. I don't want to be the slowest, right? I want to be a reasonable speed, but I'm never going to win against whatever speed runners or whatever, so you know, play the game you're good at.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded. Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Hey, Cutter, I need you to head back to the kiosk on the starting platform to fill up your O2. Stat.
Alright, I'll do it in a second. Oh, what are you talking about? That's
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
not that low. The flying back, though, is kind of a pain in the ass. Oh man, I didn't even notice there's a speed indicator on the left there.
Oxygen level stabilizing.
2.5 meters per second. What is that in kilometers per hour? I like that little tink against the visor. That's good. Yeah, these little bits and bobs that float around, I love it. I wonder if they'll cause problems in future updates to the game, right? Like, it would be funny if you snagged one with your laser and something happened, right?
There's a book I read for class last year, or I read part of it anyways, and that was Anna Tsing's Mushroom at the End of the World, on the possibility of life in capitalist ruins. Basically, Tsing does, like, among other things, this commodity chain research on matsutake mushrooms. And matsutakes in the book kind of function as kind of, I guess, like, calling them a metaphor kind of undersells it a bit. It's like an example. So, Matsutake are an acquired taste, and most Westerners can't stand them, but they're a delicacy in Japanese cuisine. They can't be cultivated, I don't think, or whatever. For some reason or another, they're generally only foraged. And they generally only grow in what she calls disturbed landscapes. Like, I think she says in Japan, they first sprung up in the 8th century in pine forests that have been heavily logged to build stuff and serve as fuel for iron forges and stuff like that. It was like this kind of knock-on consequence of growth and deforestation. And it's said that after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Matsutake was the first thing to grow back in the quote-unquote blasted landscape. So in the book, there's like a bunch of things to pull out from that, right? But I think the more forceful point is that it's possible for life to continue in those blasted landscapes, or at least some kind of life. I guess the trick, then, is to remember that the, quote-unquote end of the world is really the end of, like, a particular kind of world, and the inevitable start of something else. Now, maybe that sounds optimistic, and I'm not quite sure if I mean it to be or not, to be honest. I think it's sort of meant to be neutral. Or an invocation to, like, seize agency in this potentially apocalyptic moment, and, like, choosing to build the best thing that can possibly come out of it. Reminds me of another thinker who's had a huge impact on me in a similar vein as this guy Kyle Whyte. He's a scholar of environmental justice at University of Michigan, but I heard him speak at University of British Columbia a few years back. He's Potawatomi, and his talk was about Potawatomi and other Native Americans' experiences with climate change, like, in the past, and their current preparation for the oncoming climate crisis. In one section of his talk, he outlined 4 conceptions of time, and the one that stuck out the most to me was dystopian time. It was basically this acknowledgement that for some people, indigenous communities in particular, are already living in a post-apocalypse. I can't remember if this was an exact quote, but I wrote in my notebook that the ancestors would see current circumstances as a dystopia. I don't think I actually fully grasped it at the time, but I think the big point is that if the current arrangement of things, the current arrangement of relationships in particular, are already dystopian for some people, and it is, then what does it mean to fight to preserve the world we have today? In some way, if you're doing that, you're fighting to keep those people in their dystopia. Like, surely we should be working towards building something better. Like, how to do that is the question, right? But I think being attentive to the world as it is, as it actually is, to, like, history and social relationships and economy and all that stuff, but then also being attentive to the worlds that we imagine, like this one, like Shipbreaker. Like, that's important, right? Like, when we're thinking about what kind of world we're working towards. And so for me, that's like the whole point of playing this silly cutting up spaceships game, maybe more thoughtfully than is necessary. Because, like, to hell with searching for all of the answers in a bunch of stiff academic books, right? And I mean that, like, half honestly. I don't know, I just feel like it's probably a lot more useful to be able to tie it back to something like Shipbreaker, or something else in pop culture that people are already connecting with. Because those anxieties, like, about capitalism and our jobs and labor and employment and the climate crisis and all that stuff, it's already there. We're thinking about them for fun. So we might as well be at least dreaming about solutions while we're here, right? Anyways, that's just what I've been thinking about today.
Gunner, make your way back to the kiosk on the starting platform to fill up your O2. You're covered. Trust me on this.
Do I have time to finish this? Maybe I do. You know, Weaver, I am going to disregard that at least for a second and see what happens. Okay. Cut that. Cut that.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Come on, come on. It's not disconnected. That's what happens when you work too fast. Alright.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
That might have been a little bit arrogant of me.
Oxygen levels
So close, but
stabilizing.
so far. I don't think, actually, realistically, I could have finished that anyways, because I would have had to send those both. Although then I could have just bypassed the terminal and gone straight to the door and ended the shift. Oxygen is one of those things in this game that I'm never quite sure if I'm riding the line, you know, hard enough. Okay, where is this still connected? It's not. So there's some sort of glitchy thing going on here, but I can't guess where. Alright, well, I guess let's just keep cutting and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to cut this here.
Deposit accepted.
Okay, now it's separate. Okay. Trying to catch myself in the push. I've done that before. And that should basically be it. Come on, get going.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
This little cloud of bits and doodads. I wish you could kind of pick them up like fuses, actually, that'd be cool. If you had just like a little hit bag that you could fill up with like the little pieces, nuts and bolts. Although I don't know if I would do it. It's just kind of like the bottles of drink and the bags of chips. It's not really worth the trouble. All right.
How much was that light? So, destroyed 21, but I saved 1, didn't I? Yeah. $1,000 for a light. Which means Lynx is selling that for more than $1,000. Otherwise, you know, they wouldn't bother.